are a fascinating aspect of human experience that can offer insights into our thoughts, emotions, and subconscious mind. Journeying inward is a process of self exploration and introspection that can help individuals gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their motivations. This process can be beneficial for achieving success in outward endeavors as it can help individuals identify their strengths, values, and passions and align these with their goals and aspirations. The Bright Beings Academy is a key gong and meditation school. And we have today with us Peter Paul Parker, who is a transformation coach who helps individuals align their goals with their strengths. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. Good
I
to be here.
Great. I'm very intrigued by this transformation thing, looking inwards to do better outwards. Could you explain your process? And I believe the acronym DREAM has something to do with it.
Yes, my process is really to repair emotional childhood wounds and soothe anxiety and depression, alleviate depression, which is when we take our minds always going out to exterior experiences, that's when we start to use energy on trying to work out what is happening out there. And that's where a lot of the issues come from. So if we have emotional childhood wounds, we carry them in our subconscious. And that makes us trigger from our subconscious, which makes us behave in a certain way, which is usually detrimental to ourselves. So what I do with the Bright Beings Academy, with the Qigong and the Dream Method, is to bring people to focus on themselves, not in a narcissistic or sociopathic way, but in a way that is loving and caring, so that they actually start to care for themselves more and not actually worry too much about the exterior signals that are coming into them, or exterior experiences, I should say, so that it doesn't trigger them anymore. And that's how you change and heal and repair your emotional childhood wounds, is actually realizing and finding the triggers deep inside of you. And usually it's we're all in arrested development. Our childlike type imagination and feelings get lost because of all the pressures that get put onto us in this world that we live in today. So going back in time and healing those wounds helps you to bring your imagination back, your creativity back, your sense of fun and enjoyment in the world. It helps to bring all of that back without you having to sort of go out and try and find it outside of you. You can actually find it inside of you and then go outwards, and then you succeed outwards, and life becomes a lot more fun. Because I've been through that in myself with a very traumatic childhood, with my father becoming disabled at 11, my mother dying 10, my mother dying when I was 11, and my father finally dying when I was 19. So I went through a real bad trauma. I became a professional musician after being in a stressful job, sales job. And then after that waned, I needed to find something else to find. So I found Qigong to help me over my childhood wounds. And then I realized I went through a whole process of firstly discovering what my issues were, which is the D in the dream, then realizing actually I've got the tools here now that I'm learning from my mentors and my teachers to heal myself. Then the E comes as embracing your life. So I started to embrace my new life from coming out of the music world into the mind, body, spirit world. And then I started to actualize what I wanted to do, which was set up an academy to help people. And then I started to make this process my own. I have learned Qigong, sound healing, sound toning, meditation, all sorts of different modalities that I've used. And I made this whole thing my own. So really, I am my meditation now, as it were. So that's really the Bright Beings Academy has many different types of short online courses and main coaching courses to help people to self-realize, I call it, i.e. realize that inside of you there's something really precious and special that nobody else has, because your experience in the world is completely different to other people. And for you to align yourself with that is really important, I feel, as a human being, because then you can shine. I say the shine, you can shine in your life, which is what we tend not to do these days. We tend to sort of shy away from thinking, oh, I can't do that because somebody might think this or somebody might think that. But that puts you into a prison. So that's the dream method, and that's the Bright Beings Academy is an online Qigong school, because I run outward Qigong classes for the elderly in my local area, but I brought it on to online and kept it really reasonable for people to take up Qigong so that they can find their inner peace inside of them as well. So that's the answer to your question. Yeah.
Thank you. For the uninitiated, could you please explain what Qigong is?
Yes, of course. Qigong. Qi means energy. So we've got to think about what energy is. Energy creates matter. So energy comes before matter. So you, as a being, is an energy, your energy before the matter starts to create. So Qi means energy. Gong means utilizing well or even mastering your energy. So when you think about the negative energies that are impacting on your body, stress, anxiety, depression, childhood wounds, these accumulate in your body and they stop your energy body creating the physical body that you want. So they turn into ailments. And this isn't just ancient scripts now talking about this or new age philosophies. This is actual mainstream science that shows you this. They did a research on gallbladders and people with issues with the gallbladders. And they had one group who did nothing to help their gallbladder issue. And I think about 90% of them created gallstones. They had another group who did Tai Chi and Qigong. Tai Chi comes after Qigong. And they found that most of them actually started to alleviate the symptoms in their gallbladder. So it's starting to relax the body. So Qigong really helps you to become the human being that you should be, i.e. not stressed all the time. You're going into the parasympathetic nervous state, which is where you rest, digest, and heal, and you're not stressed all the time or anxious, which puts you into the fight or flight, so that your body doesn't work properly in that. If you're not supposed to be in that for extended periods of time, it's supposed to be very quick. Like animals are very quick into the fight or flight state of their body. Human beings can live in it for months, years, even a whole lifetime. And that's what stops, say, for instance, I can pick on longevity, which is what Qigong does. It stops the telomerase, the hormone coming into the body properly, which slows down your aging because it soothes the telomeres on your DNA, which is responsible for your aging. So if you're stressed and anxious and upset all the time, living off a bad diet, living off bad water, bad air, this will not allow your telomeres to actually create in your body properly. So that's why people age quicker. So they're finding now young children, especially, the breathing is becoming more and more shallow. So Qigong is really like it's breathing, moving, it's everything really. It's an amazing way of learning about your body. But the way that I teach it is a Korean way, which is fun and uplifting, rather than some of the more serious Qigong ways. It depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for something really serious and traditional, the Qigong that I teach isn't really like that, even though we stick to the traditional principles. It's more fun and more uplifting, rather than the other Qigong, the other types of Qigong, which is more set not in the past, but more authentic, as it were. So that's what it is. Qigong is really focusing your mind on your body and your breath. And the three principles are where your mind goes, your energy follows. If you remember, I was talking about the mind going out earlier, and that's what causes a lot of stress and anxiety. We call it the three palaces in your body, which would be your lower danjon, your middle danjon, and your upper danjon. Your lower danjon is responsible for your power, your passion, and your creativity. Your middle danjon, which would be your heart, is about love, empathy, and compassion. Your upper danjon would be about your intuition, vision, and wisdom, your natural wisdom. We all have this natural wisdom, but this upper danjon is so busy and so hot now, we tend to make the wrong decisions in our life, which comes to the third principle, which is water up, fire down. You should have a cool brainstem and a warm belly for an optimum body. And Qigong helps you to get that. The reason for a cool brainstem is because the brain works better when it's cooler. And because we've got so much information coming into the head now, it starts to warm up and not work so well. And we're starting to get cold abdomens, which is not good for your immune system because it should be warm. So each time your immune system gets a little bit warmer, your immune system kicks in. Each time your lower abdomen gets a little bit warmer, your immune system kicks in that little bit more, so it becomes more efficient. So you need water up, fire down. You've got the three palaces in your body, and also you've got where your mind goes, your energy follows. So that's Qigong in a nutshell, but it's an enormous subject, really. But it's great. You open your joints, you open your meridians, which is your energy lines of the body. You open your chakra system, and you feel fantastic. So that's Qigong.
Right. So, two questions that come to my mind immediately. First, when you talk about the fire in the lower part and the water in the upper part of the body, doesn't this have a lot to do with diet as well?
Yes, yes. If you're eating bad food, your gut doesn't work as well as it should do. And that's again more scientific proof of that. You need to be eating what I would say natural food as much as you can. I personally choose a plant-based diet,
Hmm.
but not eating any of the like all of the fizzy drinks and the sodas and all the sugars, all
Hmm.
the high processed foods. All of this will interrupt the flow of your gut. Also, with the information coming into the head, if you're eating bad food into the gut, you've got the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is responsible for your connection between your gut and your brain. So if you're putting bad food into there, that will fog your brain up as well because there's 95% of the information actually from the vagus nerve goes upwards, not downwards. The brain doesn't send signals down to the gut. All it does that is for peristalsis, so it pushes the food along. What it does, the gut will be sending news up to the brain saying, "Oh, what are you doing to me?" But that might come in the form of a headache, or might become in the form of like not being clear
Right.
or being a bit foggy. And that information coming up, we don't seem to we seem to desensitize ourselves from our body to our brain,
The
so
body,
we don't really see that happening.
yeah, the body
Um,
speaks to you.
Sorry.
The body speaks to you.
Yes, it's very wise. Your body is your antenna. And when we start to actually work out that our body is our antenna, then we can realize that the signals, I've got a foggy head, what have I been doing? Have I
Right.
been drinking good water? Have I been eating good food? Have I been doing all of this? So, yeah, very important.
Right.
Very good.
Let's take a break to understand what Chezuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chezuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chezuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chezuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chezuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest.
And the second question that came up was, this is a long process. It is not something that will be done within a few days or a few months. It's something that will take a long time. Is that right?
It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime because we need to start to focus on ourselves. Everybody wants a quick fix. It's like there's a great expression that goes around that says everybody wants to hang out at the finish line without running the race. And now I would say to people for doing that, actually, when you start to run the race and you make those little improvements in your body, which I've done from doing this, I was very unhealthy when I was a professional musician. But then all those little things that make you improve, you feel great. And that increases the serotonin and the dopamine in your body, which are the hormones that make you feel good and happy and joyful. So when you start to run the race, you realize, I love this. I love being like this. I love being open. I love being sort of responsive and interactive with life now, rather than starting to shut down and stop feeling the feelings that I feel. So it is a journey, yes, and I needed mentors to do it, because I needed to find people that would help me to actually get over the hurdles that I was going through, because it's very difficult sometimes to understand what the body's telling you. And then when you start to get into Qigong, which covers all the meditations, all the many different types of meditation, you start to realize, wow, I didn't realize I could feel like this. I can give you one specific one specific example of me in my life. We went over to Korea in 2018 as the British Qigong representatives for the Kukat Qigong Championship in Korea. And while we were on that tour and doing the competition, actually we won the competition, which was brilliant. But when we were on that tour, we went into a meditation cave. And I went in there thinking I've done a lot of work on my childhood, because it was a childhood memories cave. But I'll do it anyway. I really got into the meditation. It was like being in a time capsule, going through all the traumas that I'd been through in my life. And then I found one that I didn't realize was a trauma. And because I was so numb when my father died, I didn't see what happened. And what I realized was I've been holding anger in my liver for about 20 years, because my two eldest brothers had divided my father's estate. They both got themselves set up in good careers and set up with houses out of the father's estate, and the four younger boys got nothing. And I hadn't realized I'd been harboring anger for all those years. And as soon as I forgave them, I put my hand on my heart and I forgave them. I thought they must have been in a hell of a state to do that. Excuse my language. It must have been in a really bad state to do that. So I forgave them there and then. I walked out the cave, and then my mentor said to me, "What happened to you in there, Peter? What happened to you?" I said, "I forgave my brothers because of this." And she said, "You look 10 years younger. Just walking out of that cave, you look 10 years younger, because I've released all of that anger and all the stress in my body." So yeah, it's important for us to really listen to our body, because the anger for me came out in lots and lots of drinking, and now I don't do that at all anymore. I have the odd glass of wine, or maybe the odd glass of beer. But when I was a musician, I used to really drink quite a lot to appease my anger. But it's important to find what you're angry about so that you can heal it. So that, yeah, it's important to listen to your body, definitely.
Yeah. So, Peter, I would assume that this message of yours should go out to the younger generation, people who are in the performing arts, who are so easily, who have access to substance abuse and alcohol, for example. Would they benefit more from your program?
I don't know if they'd benefit more, but they would benefit from the stress. I know what the stress is in the music business and the arts. I know what the stress is, and it would help them to get through that more easily. I remember being around many different musicians, in particular because I was in the music world, and they would really be hampered by stage fright really badly. I had a little bit of it. I used to turn that energy into positive energies. Occasionally, sometimes it would get the better of me, but then I'll snap out of it. But I saw great singers really had problems with their performance live, brilliant in the studio, but couldn't go live because of the stage fright. Now, yes, this practice will help you with that. So, for instance, you've got people like Iggy Pop, who does Qigong. He practices Kate Winslet. Some really big people do it behind the scenes without actually making it public to help them with their performance. If you look at Hugh Jackman, great. He's into meditation and Qigong. He's an amazing example of being a top actor who does that behind the scenes. Richard Gere as well was another great example of that. So many of them are doing it in the background without making it public. So this practice of Qigong will help many of the young children, yes, definitely, as well as elderly. It helps everybody. There's no age limit on it, and there's no too late to start. I actually help people from in their 70s, 80s turn their health around. I've actually been into schools and seen children change from what I've done with them in workshops and things like that. So you're never too young, never too old, and
It's wonderful.
Yeah, we all should be doing some sort of practice like this to
Right.
connect with ourselves more as human beings. It's embracing what we are. We're not just a physical being, we're an energetic being as well. That's what ki means. It means energy. You're embracing the energy. Einstein said it. Einstein says energy comes before matter. So it, I find the spirituality teachings of like the Tao philosophy and the Vedas are now starting to intermingle with mainstream science, and that's what I find exciting about this world and what's happening now is the transformation we're in, is that people are starting to embrace their spirituality in whatever form that takes, whether it be going to Vedic readings or Tao readings, or even just focusing on themselves and making sure that they're the best human being they possibly can be. So that's why I set up the Bright Beings Academy, because I can see this change happening in our world, and I think it's beautiful. And the more of us who actually start to tap into ourselves, the better the world will become quickly.
Yeah. This sounds very intriguing. Now, tell me, Peter, would you be able to transform people virtually? Is it possible, or do they have to be physically present for you?
I do it online, so it's all you can do it all online. It's all online, and I do online coaching as well. So I've got clients all over the world, really, and the Qigong class is online, but it is British time. So I try to I do two online classes a week, one at 11 a.m. on a Sunday, one at 7 p.m. on a Thursday evening. So there are times where most people can get in at one of those times. So I do it online, yes, as well as out in the real world. And the reason I do that is I think because more and more people need to have access to this. I do believe that, and it's more fun, obviously, for me to go out into the real world and see a room full of 30 or 40 people, but to do it online because not everybody has access to this and keep it as really cheap as I possibly can. I'm not looking for profit. I am a non-profit, and I'm just trying to get people into their health and help them.
Mm.
And I really that for me is one of the most wonderful things that I've ever seen in my life, is to see someone come from a stressed, anxious, depressed state into being a human being that's starting to enjoy their life again. I think that's really why I do all of this. Yes.
Lovely. Tell me, what would your advice to people who are struggling with meditation be? Because I would try meditation, and for all my efforts, I would be rewarded with maybe 2 minutes of silence and 2 minutes of actual meditation. But it's always this monkey mind that is telling you of the chores that you have to do throughout the day, or something somebody
Yeah.
said. How do you control this?
Qigong, that's why I love Qigong. Qigong is one of the best ways of doing that because you start with moving. You move the body, you start to move the body. And the Qigong classes that I teach, and also on the dream method, what I do is go through the 5 types of meditation that we really go through in Qigong to get you to actually shake off all the excess energy first. So it would be like circulation movements, stretching out the meridians, working on certain areas of the body by tapping and stretching and moving slowly, focusing your mind on your body. So you're softening your body with your mind all the time, all the way through this. And by the time you've done 25, 30 minutes of that, then we do like what we call a Jigam meditation. And I've had people who have said that to me in their 70s, and they've come to classes that I run in Epsom. And she said to me, she was 73, she said to me, you know what, Peter, I've never been able to sit quietly until I took your classes. I never been, and I went, wow. And she is very busy. When she comes in, she's like, blah, 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 all talk, talk, talk. And then when she goes out, she's a lot calmer. So meditation is really what I call a workout for the mind. And there's all types of meditation that you can use. And that is just one type, the silent meditation. And I will say it's the most difficult. So if you go back a few steps and start really just maybe focusing on your breathing rather than trying to silence the mind, and then you focus on your breathing, get your breathing deeper, then move it into your gut. So your lower abdomen's coming in and out like a balloon, like a baby breathes. That's how we should be breathing. And that's really a better way than rather than just sitting there trying to be silent, because that is really difficult because if you think about it, the two conditions of the body are, firstly, the mind wants to be busy and active. That's natural. It is natural. Secondly, sorry, the mind wants to be busy and active. That's natural. The body is always looking for comfort. So you're always like, oh, I'm going to have a sit down now. I'm going to have a lie down. Always looking for comfort. So you need to be moving the body a little bit more and quieting the mind a little bit more so you come back into balance. What's happened with us? We're out of balance. We want too much comfort and we're looking for too much stuff in our minds. And our mind is always busy because we're thinking, yeah, like you say, oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to do. We try and bring that into balance so it comes into perspective. So at that point, you can realize this is the only thing I have to do right now. You keep convincing yourself of that. This is the only thing I have to do right now. I'm going to do this for 5 minutes, that I can do all my chores in a much better state. I can give you a story about that. The woodcutter. There's a woodcutter who's working for a wood cutting company. He works his heart out every day cutting the wood, and it's becoming profitable, the wood cutting company. So they take on another woodcutter, and after 3 months, the other woodcutter's doubling what the first woodcutter's doing. So he's thinking, wow, why is he doing that? And then he got a raise, and the first woodcutter goes to the second woodcutter and watches what he does. And what he does, in between cutting each tree down, he sits, he does some deep breathing, and he sharpens his axe, and then he goes back to chopping the trees, and he's doing it twice as effectively as the first woodcutter, which is why he got the raise. So what we do is we tend to jump into all our chores without thinking about it. We go into kind of like an autopilot. So that story tells you, if you sit back, you focus on yourself, you relax the body, your chores become a lot easier and a lot quicker to be done. So me, I'm very busy all the time,
Hmm.
but when I've got chores to do, I don't think about them. I actually sit and focus on myself and go, okay, right, I'm going to be ready to do them when I've done this. So put yourself aside 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, or even do like a gentle Qigong routine
Hmm.
I teach in the academy, so that you're more equipped and you can get your chores done more efficiently. So that's what I would say to that is try not just sit there with a silent meditation, because your mind will start to kick up thoughts. And if you're not trained in not to unpack the thoughts, you will naturally unpack the thought. And then you go into a thought process and that messes up your meditation.
Hmm. I think that's
So,
easier said than done.
yes, yes. Yes,
So
definitely.
I'm
This is why
sure.
Qigong is so important in that, because that process will help you go get into that a lot more easily. Because if you go straight onto a silent meditation course or a silent meditation retreat, that is stressful in itself. I've had clients come through to me who are brilliant silent meditators, but really stressed because they can't do anything else. So they can shut their mind off, but they're still stressed in their everyday life. And that made me realize, wow, we need to do the internal energy work.
Hmm.
It's not just silent meditation. If you look at the Vedas, silent meditation is like like really high up in the eight folds of yoga. It's really high up. So before that, you have like chanting, sound toning, sound healing, moving, yoga poses, stretches, and things like that. Then you get to the silent meditation point once you've almost mastered all of those things. And that's why I say about silent meditation, very, very difficult. And I have complete empathy with you, definitely. And I would say, think about Qigong and how that could work for you in a way of actually doing that 5 minutes without actually sitting there silently, and you will get the benefits. And then when you come to trying silent meditation, it becomes a lot easier. But it's not for everybody. Silent meditation isn't for everybody.
Yeah. So lovely talking to you, Peter. It was wonderful getting to know these intricacies of mind, body, and spirit, and being able to change oneself by looking inwards. It sounds very intriguing, and yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to explore more. Thank you for talking to
Wonderful.
us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.